I stood in front of my bathroom mirror, the harsh fluorescent light casting a clinical glow on my face. My reflection stared back, a throbbing reminder of the past I wanted to shake off but felt anchored to instead. The room was small, packed with the clutter of a life unlived. Old makeup containers lay scattered among curling photographs, remnants of who I once was, who everyone said I should be, perfectly polished, impossibly happy. People think I have it all, I muttered to myself, shaking my head as I grabbed a makeup brush, flicking off dust like I was trying to clear my mind. The memories of Maplewood, my quaint little town, flickered like an old film reel in my mind, a swirl of color and chaos. I reached for my phone, hesitating before unlocking it. Just a quick scroll just to check, I told myself, but I knew it was a lie. The bubbling anger in my veins simmered to life as I thought about the text messages I had received earlier that day, each one a reminder of how easily people could be swayed by rumor, how quickly they could forget the truth. Clara, you're still coming to the open house, right? Everyone will be there. It isn't the same without you. You know how much we've missed your special touch. I could practically hear Ellie's cheery voice echoing in my head, inviting me back into the fold, a fold I had deliberately ripped myself away from. I glanced at my reflection, my features set in a hard line, shadows underlining my frustration. No, I would not be attending. I would not be giving them the satisfaction of seeing me turn up as if nothing had happened. They had made their choice. They had sided with the one person who had almost destroyed me. Clara, you have to forgive. It is what it means to be an adult. My mother's voice rang in my ears, her disappointment palpable even through time and distance. Ah, how I loathed that phrase, be an adult, forgive, forget. My fist clenched around my phone, almost crushing it as I pictured my parents' faces, especially my mother, tight with concern as the family gossip mill churned out stories about me. They say you're bitter, Clara, that you can't let go, I mouthed under my breath, mocking their indignation before tossing my phone onto the counter as if it burned. I was bitter or perhaps too aware of what everyone else seemed determined to overlook. I longed to scream at them, to explain exactly why it was impossible, to tell them how I had trusted. The truth was a heavy weight in my chest, pulsing with anger. I won't forgive them. The conviction in my voice felt like a small rebellion, dancing like a flame through the thick, musty air of my bathroom. Not now, not ever, I whispered fiercely to my reflection, though I knew the words rippled through a curated calm. The weight of expectations had always been a chain around my neck, something I was expected to wear gracefully. But that jewel was heavy, the shackles of friendship and loyalty pulling down on my shoulders while taunting whispers echoed like shadows in the corners of my safe haven. With a sudden burst of defiance, I decided I would show them who I really was for a change. I was not the sweet, accommodating Clara the townsfolk had grown accustomed to. I was a vengeful force waiting to unleash. The first cracks in my pretense were about to show, and it excited me. I'll go to that open house, I said to the mirror, determination infusing my words. I'll make them see. I rummaged through my closet, desperately pulling out shirts, each one a dull shade of what might have once brought me joy. An old floral print caught my attention, the dress I wore to the summer festival the year before everything exploded. The thought made my stomach twist. How I wished I could have stepped into a time machine and erased that day, the image seared into my mind like a brand. Lucas had made some promise I believed in then, a promise that brought people together in laughter and shared delight. And I had believed him, believed all of them. I flicked the fabric with my fingers, the texture pulling me back like a siren's call. Their voices echoed again, echoes of laughter turned poisonous as his betrayal washed over me. You think you can just walk into my life and take whatever you want, that you could hurt her just to get to me? I spat out the words to the empty air, but my voice quivered with sorrow, grief, and something uglier, betrayal. I had trusted Lucas to be better, to not sink into the depths of my friend's deceptive charms. Yet here we were, he and Ellie, paraded around town like a victory trophy, while I remained the broken one, the girl whose heart had been shattered all over again. I took the dress from the hanger, lifting it to my face and inhaling the familiar scent of laundry detergent and sunshine. Time to turn this tragedy into something powerful, I declared quietly, as if the very fabric could take my vengeance and turn it into action. Even the thought of seeing Lucas again, to face Ellie with nothing but a hardened heart, sent shivers of anticipation rippling across my skin. Dressed in the floral print, I pulled my hair into a messy bun, leaving a few strands rebelliously framing my face. Not today, expectations, I told myself, slipping into a pair of comfortable sandals. The dress fit me differently now, confidently, defiantly, like armor nearly ready for battle. A cool breeze danced through the window, teasing my hair as I made my way to the front door. The familiar streets of Maplewood awaited, full of whispers and sidelong glances I would soon face head-on. The sound of the open house streaming through the town echoed in my ears like a drumbeat as I stepped outside into the heart of Maplewood. The sun blazed bright overhead, illuminating the familiar shops and houses lined like soldiers in neat little rows. It was a neighborhood filled with sweet nostalgia that chased me down every side street. Each yard was adorned with blooming flowers that swayed gently in the wind, oblivious to the emotional turmoil that churned beneath their vibrant colors. I walked, feeling both empowered and paralyzed by the weight of what I had to face. My heart raced as I passed the bakery where I used to steal cookies with Ellie after school. The shop was still fronted with twinkling lights, the scent of fresh pastries wafting through the air, but it all felt tainted now, like everything else in my life. The path to the open house wound through the center of town, deeper into the heart of Maplewood, where tensions simmered just below the surface. There were signs of celebration ahead. Colorful streamers danced in the breeze while laughter flickered like an electric current across yard gatherings. I stopped for a moment, taking it all in, the closeness of it all. Families, friends, everyone mingling, their hollers full of delight. All I could feel was bitterness, a gnawing sense of betrayal infecting my senses. As I stepped closer to the house, my pulse quickened. I could see them, my so-called friends, mingling together. The angular lines of Lucas's jaw and the way Ellie leaned into him felt like daggers turning in my stomach. I caught glimpses of their laughter. It pushed through the noise of conversations and clinking glasses, as if they were conspiring against me in their insatiable joy. Look who decided to show up. A voice sliced through my reverie. I turned to see Sarah, a sharp-tongued acquaintance leaning against the porch railing, arms crossed and mirth dancing in her eyes. "I didn't think you would come out of your cave." "Is that what they call it now, Sarah? A cave?" I shot back, irritation bubbling like a cauldron inside me. "Nice to see you too," she smirked. "Thought you might have finally realized nobody is perfect, Clara." "Is that what you tell yourselves to sleep better at night?" I countered, the venom in my tone sharp but controlled. I stepped forward, wanting to pierce through the pretense and get directly to the heart of why I was really here. "You know it doesn't make you look any better to pretend I'm the only one with the issues." "Aw, come on," Sarah cooed, eyes glinting with mischief. "You know how it goes. You've always been the drama queen around here, just asking if you've learned from it. No one wants to see you sad forever." "Worry about yourself, Sarah," I replied, my voice low as I held her gaze steady, refusing to back down as warmth surged within me, fueling the fight that had been dormant for too long. Just then, a loud voice broke through the gathering, and I recognized it immediately. "Clara, is that you?" It was Ellie, her smile bright enough to blind, but it only ignited the fire inside me. I drew a deep breath, preparing to walk into the lion's den, but with each step I took towards her, my nerves began to twist into something that felt daring, intoxicating. "Look who's brave." Ellie's voice was melodious, eyes sparkling with a kind of innocence that had been hollowed out by betrayal. I plastered a tight smile on my face, the kind that felt like a mask. "Hi, Ellie. Lovely day for a get-together," I replied, forcing cheery nonchalance into my tone as I reached for the glass of lemonade somebody had offered me. The tartness bit into my tongue, a refreshing contrast to the simmering chaos just beneath the surface. "Are you here to make amends?" Ellie tilted her head in that overly sincere way she had when she wanted to pretend to care. "You know, we all miss you." "Miss me or miss how easy it was to ignore the truth?" I countered, trying to keep my voice even, friendly enough to engage but utterly filled with contempt. "I mean, it's easy to miss things when you're too busy spinning stories." Her brow furrowed, confusion flashing across her face like a brief, uninvited storm. "What do you mean?" "Oh, come on, Ellie." I waved my free hand dismissively as if shooing away a bothersome fly. "You really want to pretend everything is fine? Is that why you and Lucas are here? Is it a show of solidarity between friends?" I noticed Lucas standing to the side, his expression shifting between confusion and something darker, something like regret. "Clara, save it," I snapped, and a silence fell over our small group. "No one needs your excuses or pity." Anger brightened the day around me, flickering shadows in the bright sunlight as all eyes turned to watch the drama unfold. "Clara, please," Ellie urged, desperation lacing her voice now, clumsy and unscripted. "Lucas and I had something special. You know that, why can't you just? Because I trusted you both?" The words spilled out with an urgency that surprised even me. "You had a special something that you built right on top of my broken pieces. It's hard to forgive when you're still living in the wreckage." I could hear my heart pounding in my chest. I could feel the world shifting around me, the lines drawn sharply in the sand. "You don't understand," Ellie began, but I cut her off, my voice rising even louder, sweeping aside her protests like fallen leaves in the wind. "I see it all too clearly. The world turning its back on me while you both dance and flaunt your new beginning. You've trivialized something sacred, and then you act like you're the victim. Only, Clara," Lucas stepped forward, anger bursting like fire from his lips. "Do you ever listen to yourself? It's not about you, isn't it?" I challenged, emboldened by the rising tide of resentment. Even the sunlight felt different now, casting everything in stark relief as I faced them down. "You made it about me. You made it about how much you could destroy someone you claimed to care about." Behind me, I could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze as they inched closer, whispers bubbling through the air, as if each syllable was a pebble dropped into a pond, causing ripples that would tear apart whatever tranquility I had left. I stood rooted like a rock, angry tears brimming as my vision blurred slightly at the edges. "Just leave us alone, Clara," Ellie finally said, her voice breaking. The tiny sigh that escaped her confessing it all, how she felt trapped by her own choices. "Fine," I replied coolly, taking a moment to gather myself, straighten my shoulders, and turn my back on them both. "But the truth is coming. I'll make sure of it." I could feel the weight of their stares burning into my back as I made my escape, retreating into the sea of people, each step taking me closer to the freedom I craved. The laughter around me played like a soft melody, starkly at odds with the tempest of rage and pain coursing through me. This was only just the beginning. The consequences of betrayal were far from over, and I was not finished by a long shot. I had my plan, and it was going to unfold beautifully. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow over Maplewood. But the beauty of the town was lost on me as I leaned against the peeling paint of the old wooden fence that bordered my parents' backyard. I could hear the distant sound of children playing, their laughter bright and carefree, but my mind was filled with darker thoughts. I traced the jagged edges of the fence with my fingers, feeling the rough texture like a reminder of everything that had gone wrong in my life. All I wanted was closure, the kind that burned away the bitterness I had felt since 5 years ago, the day Olivia Stewart took everything from me. "Clara, are you coming in for dinner?" My mother's voice broke through the layers of my thoughts like glass shattering. I felt a tight knot in my stomach, a sick mixture of dread and determination. I couldn't face my parents, not with Olivia around. It had to happen tonight or never. "Just a minute, Mom," I called back, forcing a lightness into my voice that felt impossible. I took a deep breath and stepped away from the fence. I could practically hear the footsteps of fate marching towards me as I made my way back to the house, the familiar scent of my mother's lasagna wafting through the open window. It was a comforting smell, one I had grown up with, but tonight it felt foreign, as if it belonged to a different version of me, a version without the weight of vengeance pressing down on my chest. As I entered the house, the chatter of my dad echoed around the kitchen. He was telling a story, his voice booming as he animatedly gestured with his hands. "And that's when I caught the biggest fish of my life, right there at Maple Lake," he boasted, his laughter infectious. I couldn't help but smile, appreciating the warmth in the room. "You should have seen it, Clara, it was this big." He stretched his arms wide and I chuckled softly, trying to hold that moment for as long as I could. I had missed my parents during these past few years of estrangement. "Dinner's almost ready," my mom chimed in, her face lighting up when she saw me. "Did you have a good day?" "It was all right," I replied, lifting my chin higher, trying to block out the storm brewing within me. I felt a pang of guilt for lying, but the truth was buried beneath layers of anger and hurt, lingering like a ghost I couldn't chase away. The sound of the dinner bell broke my reverie, and we all settled around the table. I filled my plate, forcing myself to focus on the food instead of my spiraling thoughts about Olivia. "Did you hear about the new cafe that opened downtown?" my mom asked, cutting into my mental chaos. "They say they make the best coffee in town." I nodded, trying to engage in the conversation, but my mind was miles away. "Clara, have you met the new owners?" my dad added, eyebrows raised expectantly. "I heard they are real artists." I shook my head slowly, absent-mindedly pushing my fork through the lasagna. "No, not yet." Pushing away the guilt, I steeled myself internally. Tonight was about that confirmation, that driving fury I had kept locked away. "Maybe we could go together sometime," my mom suggested, her voice bright with enthusiasm. A flicker of irritation washed over me at the thought of misplaced normalcy. I couldn't do this. Not now. Not while Olivia was out there, living her life without a care in the world. Yeah, maybe, I murmured, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach my eyes. The conversation flowed around me like water in a stream, and I floated along, but every now and then I felt like I was drowning. Finally, after what felt like hours, dinner concluded, and I excused myself. I didn't want to bring my family into my darkness. Clara? My dad's voice was softer now, like he sensed something was off. Are you sure you are okay? Yeah, I just need some air, I replied quickly, pushing my chair back and making my escape. Once outside, the cool night air hit my face like a splash of ice water. Stars twinkled overhead, pinpricks of light in an otherwise dark sky. I walked to the old swing set tucked away in the corner of the yard, the worn wood creaking under my weight as I settled onto the swing. I gripped the rusty chains tightly and started to sway back and forth. The movement felt soothing, almost like a chant, but the thoughts in my mind spiraled out of control. You can't avoid her forever, Clara. The voice in my head taunted, a reminder of how much I loathed Olivia. That feeling, that deep-seated anger, continuously rose to the surface, like a monster waiting to emerge from the depths. What would you say to her if you saw her? I whispered to myself, imagining Olivia's face, the same one that haunted my dreams and turned my thoughts to ash. What would I say? My heart raced at the idea. I would tell her that she took everything from me. The words echoed in my mind, loud and guttural. She ruined my life when she stole everything I ever wanted. In that moment, I realized I didn't just want to confront her. I needed it. I craved it. My heart thudded heavily against my rib cage. It was now or never. I can't do this alone, I muttered, pulling out my phone and scrolling through my contacts. I paused at the name I had been hesitant to call. Jenna was my closest friend, someone who understood my pain, yet I had kept my plans to myself. This whole revenge idea was still too raw to share, but I could use a partner, a witness. Ignoring the voice reminding me of our last conversation, I pressed the call button. The phone rang, the sound reverberating in the silence until she picked up. Clara, Jenna's familiar, lively voice practically sang through the speaker. What's up? You sound serious. Hey, Jenna, I said, rubbing my temples. Can we meet? Sure, what's going on? You sound tense. I took a deep breath, swaying back and forth on the swing as I prepared myself. I need your help. With what? Sounds ominous. More like a bone to pick, I replied, determination coloring my tone. It's about Olivia. There was a brief silence on the other end, and I could imagine her processing my words. Oh, what do you have planned? It's more than just talking, isn't it? Yes, I admitted. I want to confront her. You want to confront Olivia Stewart? There was a slight edge of excitement in her voice. Wow, that's a big step, Clara. We both know what she did. I can't let her keep living her life while I am stuck in this nightmare. Her voice softened. I get that, I really do. Are you sure you want to do this? I'm not saying it lightly, Clara. This has to end, Jenna, not just for me but for her too. What do you need from me? She asked. I leaned forward, my heart racing with a surge of adrenaline. I need you there with me for support. I don't want to face her alone. Jenna hesitated. Okay, I can be there for you. Just tell me when and where. Tomorrow evening, around 6 at Maplewood Cafe, I suggested, trying to keep my voice steady. We can meet there for coffee first. All right, can't wait. Just remember to breathe, Clara. You can do this. Thanks, Jenna. I ended the call and stared into the night, the shadows around me blending into my thoughts. Tomorrow would be the day. The day I finally confronted Olivia. I felt a rush of anxiety combined with a strange sense of relief. All those months of anger would finally have an outlet, and for the first time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I could reclaim the story of my life. As I finally pulled myself up from the swing and headed back inside, I knew this was only the beginning of something much bigger. I am going to change my life one way or another, I thought, stepping into the warm light of the house, ready to face the whispers of my past. The sun hung low in the Maplewood sky, casting long shadows that danced like ghosts against the cracked pavement. It was late afternoon, and I sat alone at my usual table outside Joe's Diner, an insignificant little place where the coffee was lukewarm, but the people, their stories, their lives, were rich and complex. I stirred my cold cup of coffee, thinking about how my life had become one giant swirl of regrets, and the heaviness in my chest felt like a knot I could not untie. I had hit rock bottom, and as I gazed at my reflection in the murky surface of the liquid, I barely recognized the woman staring back at me. Gone was the ambitious Clara Jennings who dreamed big, and in her place sat a shadow of despair, fueled by betrayal and the venom of revenge. Even the clatter of silverware and the low chatter surrounding me were drowned out by my thoughts, chaotic and loud, echoing like a broken record. All I wanted was to be free from the pain my so-called friends had inflicted on me, and there was a fire inside me, a tiny flicker that craved action. I knew I had to confront Lily and Derek, those beautiful faces that had made my heart flutter, only to stomp all over it with their treachery. Just thinking about it made my blood boil. I could still picture the way they laughed together, how they shared secrets that I once believed were mine alone. The very image felt like shards of glass pushing deeper into my skin, cutting away at any pretense of peace I had left inside. The bell above the diner's door jingled, and I looked up. The world shifted as my eyes landed on Lily, her golden hair glowing even under the fading sunlight. She stepped inside with a swagger, completely unaware of the whirlwind of emotion she was about to stir. Her laughter echoed even outside, and I clenched my fists around my coffee cup, the warmth contrasting sharply with the chill that crept along my spine. I could feel the tension tightening my throat. What made her so confident? What allowed her to move through life like a shimmering goddess while I was left in the dust, battered and bruised by betrayal? Clara. Lily's cheery voice sliced through my thoughts as she strolled over, her smile blinding. It's so good to see you. Why don't you join us? Derek and I are having the best time. There it was, the smugness, the taunting laced within her sweet tone. Every fiber of my being screamed for me to pack up my things and run, to escape the haunting reality that was now my life. Yet I had a plan, a dreadful certainty deep within. I gritted my teeth and forced my lips into what was supposed to be a smile, but I knew it didn't reach my eyes. No thanks, Lily, I managed to reply, my voice steadier than I felt. I hated how pliable I sounded, like a wet noodle bent at her will. Just enjoying some coffee by myself. Her gaze sharpened, and I could almost see the gears turning in her head. You should really come. Derek's been wanting to catch up with you. You have no idea how much he misses you. I bet he's waiting for you to come back, right? The bitterness crept up my throat. She was laying it on thick, trying to pull the wool over my eyes, but I knew better now. Oh, I'm sure he's just waiting for you to finish your little escapade, I snapped before I could stop myself. My heart raced as I felt the words tumble out, wild and reckless. I wasn't like this. I was composed. But she turned me into a fury, igniting a spark in me that had long been dimmed. Clara, it isn't like that, she replied, her eyes wide and incredulous. This isn't what you think. Can't we just talk like friends? Friends. The word hung heavy in the air between us, and the bitterness stung. Friends? Is that what you call betraying someone? Because from where I stand, you've been anything but, I retorted, my heart thumping loudly in my chest. I was done cowering, done feeling small. Lily's expression shifted from surprise to something that looked suspiciously like anger. You're being dramatic, Clara. This is all in your head. Derek and I never meant to hurt you. What happened was, I cut through her words like a blade through butter. What happened was you two chose each other over me. Chose to laugh behind my back while I was helping you plan your birthday party. Chose to let me think there was something special. You don't get to play the victim now. The tension crackled between us, palpable and sharp. It was as if we were two charged wires ready to spark. I could see Lily's face growing flushed, and I reveled in the suffocating silence after the storm of words. I was fed up with pretending that none of this hurt. This was my moment, and I would not let her take it away. But just as the pleasure of my small victory washed over me, Derek emerged from the diner, his muscular form filling the doorway as he stepped outside. He looked good, too good, with tousled hair and that infuriating kindness in his eyes. I had always thought he was one of the good ones, a light amid the darkness that surrounded me, but now he was just another reminder of everything that had been ripped away. Clara. He exclaimed, his voice rich with enthusiasm. You should join us, we were just talking about you. Yeah, like a fun little topic of conversation, I shot back, crossing my arms defensively. Come on, please, we really miss you. The sincerity in his tone stung. It felt like he was reaching out through a veil of despair, trying to pull me back into the fold. It's been too long since we all hung out together. In that moment, a wild impulse surged within me. Why was I holding back? They had spent so long weaving their tangled web, dragging my heart through the dirt, and here they were, inviting me back with all the open arms of supposed friendship. Did they truly believe I could be so easily swayed? My heart fluttered against its will, pulled in directions it no longer wanted to go. I think it is amusing how you think this can just go back to normal, I sneered. The rage bubbling inside intensified, each heartbeat fueling the fire. How does this work, Derek? You pretend to care while you and Lily giggle about how you obliterated the best friendship I ever had. Derek's expression flickered, shock reverberating across his features, and for a moment I wondered if I had broken through his facade. That's not true. You know that isn't what either of us wanted, he protested, his voice rising with frustration. We still care about you. Caring doesn't mean dragging me into your mess. I snapped, my heart pounding. It certainly doesn't mean smiling at me while holding the shards of a friendship you've shattered. Lily stared wide-eyed, disbelief etched across her face. This is so unfair, Clara. We loved you. You were always like family. Family? A cruel laugh escaped my lips, and I felt the emotion writhing inside me like an angry beast. You were my family, my sister, and yet you turned your back on me. I lost everything. Derek rubbed the back of his neck, compassion flickering in his expression. I get that you are hurt, but talking like this won't help anything. We made a mistake. Can't we just move on? There is nothing you cannot forgive. Forgive. The word sat heavily on my tongue, and I breathed through the wave of emotion flooding my mind. They wanted forgiveness so easily, a clean slate without acknowledging the damage they had inflicted. Move on? I spat vehemently. I don't know if you understand just how deep this runs. You talked so easily about love while I was blindsided. I can't look at the two of you without feeling like I am drowning in betrayal. I thought we could talk about this. Derek's tone softened, and it was infuriating to see that he looked at me with something resembling understanding. Let's just sit down and figure this out together. We can talk about how we all can heal. Healing. The word felt foreign, like a language I had never learned. You don't get to decide that for me, I shot back, the bitterness wrapping around my tongue like a vine pressing tight. You don't get to throw words at me as if it will erase the hurt you have caused. You wanted me gone, you pushed me away. Now you want me back because it makes you feel better about your choices. I never wanted you gone. Derek took a step closer, and as his expression softened, doubt flickered through my anger. I shook my head slightly, my heart screaming for me to retreat, to protect myself from whatever torment they intended to unleash next. But inwardly, I was already breaking. Everything is a game to you, isn't it? I challenged, my voice shaking. What do you think happening now will change? You'll just cry about it later and feel bad for yourselves, leaving me to pick up the pieces. Clara, that isn't fair, Lily interjected, her voice rising temporarily. You're making us out to be terrible people. We all made choices we regret. This has messed with us, too. I raised an eyebrow, the bitterness still lodged in my throat. Regret? Is that what you call it? A fleeting feeling, a hollow apology, because it feels like betrayal to me. Derek's frustration boiled over. You think this is easy for us. We loved you. We wanted to tell you, but everything happened so fast. You have to believe me, Clara. We hate that you had to go through this. The truth hit me like a punch in the gut. In the back of my mind, a small voice whispered that maybe they had intended to be genuine. Maybe they were just unfortunate souls tangled in a mess of their own making. It didn't change the result, though. Love doesn't betray. Love doesn't laugh behind someone's back, I said, voice low and heavy with the truth I had felt crushed beneath. You have no idea what I've been experiencing. I thought you both loved me, yet here you are, inviting me back like it's some whimsical reunion. Lily stepped towards me, pleading, Can you please just see that we are sorry? None of this was meant to happen. I was stupid, and so was Derek. We made mistakes. I bit my lip to keep the tears at bay. Emotions swirled through me, a tempest I had not expected. It was impossible for me to convey how raw I felt, how deeply hurt while standing before the very people who had wounded me the most. I don't want to hear your apologies as if they wipe everything clean. You must realize that nothing can change how I feel. In that moment, a realization shattered through the haze of my anger. I had to stop wasting my time trying to pursue them, seeking closure from those who had never meant it. They would always move on while I remained shackled to memories of what had been, yet they seemed oblivious to the pain visible in my posture. I need to go, I said, finally standing up, my fingertips tingling as I grabbed my things. Every ounce of my energy surged with the desire to escape their watchful eyes, to flee from the angry whispers that refused to die. Clara, we can fix this. Derek called after me, but my heart was beating too loud to hear him. The bell chimed as I pushed through the door and into the soft glow of the setting sun. I could hear their voices call after me, but I was gone, retreating into the comfort of my house, the solitude that would welcome me like an old friend. As I stepped into my empty living room, the silence swallowed me whole. I knew I had yet to decide what to do next, how to build my path forward, but I could feel that flicker of fire inside, guiding me forward. I would take my pain, my rage, and I would forge it into something new. They thought they had beaten me, but they were wrong. If there was anything I had learned from this betrayal, it was that I would not go gently. The revenge I sought was simmering just beneath the surface, and I could feel it bubbling over, ready to erupt in ways they could never have expected. With each breath, the notion solidified in my mind. I was done being a victim, Soon, it would be their turn to understand the depths of the loss they inflicted. Return I would. But not for them, for just as I stood at the edge of the old, cracked pavement, the sun dipping lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the abandoned playground that once echoed with laughter. My heart beat in time with the rhythm of my plan, a truth that twisted in my gut. The air was thick with the scent of burnt leaves, a reminder that autumn was creeping in as I recalled the summer days spent here, full of innocence before everything slipped away. This was the focal point of my carefully crafted revenge, the very setting where I would finally confront the ghost of my past. I exhaled slowly, trying to steady my nerves, but all I could think about was how much Nick had taken from me and how much I had lost. Determination flooded my veins as I caught sight of the two figures approaching in the distance. My pulse quickened at the familiar sight of Nick and Jenna. I had planned this moment for weeks, and everything needed to unfold perfectly. Nick, with his casual confidence and roguish grin, strolled beside Jenna, who glowed under the warm light. They were so at ease, so unbothered, unaware of the storm gathering around them. I moved back, hiding behind a large oak tree, its bark rough against my skin. The crunch of leaves under my feet was muffled, and I felt a shiver despite the warmth that lingered in the air. I pulled out my phone, a simple device that now felt like a lifeline. I had a message ready, one that would spread like wildfire. "This is it, Clara," I whispered to myself, trying to find a trace of courage within the shadow of self-doubt. "You are not that scared girl anymore." I glanced again, taking in their easy banter. "Can you believe the game last night?" "I swear if we had just one more minute," Nick's voice boomed with enthusiasm. Jenna laughed, her carefree sound like a knife twisting in my heart. "You always say that. Stop pretending we could have one." In that moment, I felt a surge of anger and betrayal stab through me. I had allowed their laughter, their facade, to consume me for far too long. They thought I would stay hidden, that I was broken and would let them walk all over me. But I had changed. I had absorbed every ounce of their betrayal, had learned and rehearsed my future, and now it was time to strike. I took a deep breath and stepped out from behind the tree, feeling the weight of every gaze turning toward me. My heart raced, but I held a mask of calm on my face. Well, if it isn't the talented duo demolishing my quiet evening," I said with a thin smile that barely masked the tumultuous emotions boiling beneath the surface. Nick's face shifted from surprise to a smug grin, a grin that made my skin crawl. "Clara, what a surprise. I didn't think you would come back here after. You know." He let the words hang in the air, a taunt that wrapped around me like a noose. Jenna's eyes widened, and suddenly she looked uncomfortable. "Maybe we should go," she suggested, glancing between Nick and me, her voice softening like she was approaching a wounded animal. But I wasn't wounded anymore. "No, Jenna, I've waited too long for this conversation," I replied, the steel in my voice surprising even me. "I think it's time to clear the air." Nick crossed his arms, a defiant posture that reminded me of our past exchanges, full of bravado, and I felt a surge of fury. "What makes you think you can just show up here, Clara? You don't own this place." I stepped closer, centering my energy, making sure not to let his taunts throw me off course. "You're right, I don't own this place. But I do own my story, and my story isn't finished yet," I said, standing firm, giving him my fiercest look. "Do you really want to make things worse?" He raised an eyebrow, mocking as always. I knew he was testing me, trying to provoke a reaction. "You think you can scare me? It's been years since I've let you control my life." I took another step, remembering how small he had made me feel all those years ago. "You know what I hate the most, Nick? It's that you just waltzed back into my life like nothing ever happened. And you think you're the only one who has scars?" He shot back, his voice a low growl now. "We all have our battles, Clara. You were never special." My breath caught. How could he deny what was so palpable? "You broke me," I said, locking eyes with him, forcing truth through the tension. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone I cared about. When I needed you, you just left." Jenna shifted uncomfortably next to him, and I could see her reluctance. "Clara, maybe?" "No," I interrupted, willing my eyes to remain fixed on Nick. "This is between Nick and me. You don't get to dodge accountability on your own terms." Jenna's expression shifted to one of concern. "Are you sure this is the right approach? We don't need to rehash the past, we've all moved on." But I wasn't done. I shook my head, feeling empowered. "You may have moved on, but it was on my back. You both tore me down, and now it's my turn to rise up." Nick's expression flicked with disbelief, and a smirk crept across his face. "Rise up, really? And how do you plan to do that? Please enlighten me." I reached into my pocket and pulled out a printed piece of paper, holding it out with deliberate slowness. "You see, Nick, I've been gathering evidence. Your past has a way of catching up with you." Jenna looked between us, her breath catching, eyes wide, clearly not understanding the shift in energy. Clara, what are you saying? You don't need to resort to this. But I do, I insisted, maintaining eye contact with Nick. You want to belittle me? Okay, let's play your game. I tossed the paper between us. It fluttered in the breeze before settling at Nick's feet. He bent down to pick it up, his eyes scanning the document. I could feel the dread creeping into his posture as he realized what it was, his face paled. Where did you get this? He demanded, brow furrowing. You know damn well where I got it, I said, heat rising in my chest. You thought I didn't notice the things you did, your shady deals, your hidden life? Well, I did my homework. He straightened, rage boiling to the surface now. You have no right to dig into my business. How does it feel, Nick, knowing that all those secrets you've kept can come crashing down around you? I leaned forward, my voice a low hiss. You think you can intimidate me? I'm not afraid of you anymore. His face twisted with anger, and for a moment I thought he might explode. You're playing a dangerous game, Clara. You think you have the upper hand? I know I do, I said, confidence surging like a tidal wave. You have ruined my life, and it's time for the universe to balance the scales. Nick laughed, this hollow, mocking sound that echoed between us. You're making a grave mistake. You think your little threats matter? You think you can scare me away with some papers? I will bury you, Clara. Do you understand? I took a breath, feeling oddly calm. That's the problem with you, Nick. You think power comes from threats, but real strength comes from truth and standing up for what is right. And I am not afraid anymore. The decisive nature of my words hung in the air, a challenge, a declaration, an opportunity for transformation. Jenna shifted her weight, glancing between Nick and me, and suddenly she seemed torn. Nick, let's just walk away. This isn't worth it, she finally said, her voice soft yet firm. Nick's glare remained fixed on me, his anger palpable, but I didn't back down. You can back down, but I won't. Do you even understand what you're doing? You think taking this to the public will help you? You will be made a fool again, he growled. This is not how it ends, Clara. I folded my arms, feeling resolved, ready for the repercussions regardless of how dark they may be. You don't get to decide how my story ends anymore. And for a moment, I thought I saw a flicker of doubt in his eyes, perhaps even fear. You are making a mistake that could cost you everything, he said, voice low and shaky. You threaten me with all your puffed-up bravado, but remember this, the truth can be weaponized just as easily as lies can. The warning seeped into my bones. Then let's see who the truth favors. Not waiting for a response, I spun on my heel and took a few strides away from them, firm and steady. I could feel their gazes boring into my back like daggers. I would not yield. I could hear Jenna trying to reason with him, her voice raised in soft protest. But I didn't look back. The adrenaline surged through me like a current. I could hear my heart hammering in my chest, the echoes of our confrontation still buzzing in my ears. The chilly air wrapped around me, and I hurried away from the playground, knowing that I had just ignited a fuse that could blow up at any moment. However, I felt alive, awake, as though I had finally clawed my way to the surface after being buried for far too long. And in that moment, as the sun began to set, I finally felt like I was in control of my own destiny. The piercing sound of the church bell echoed through the empty streets of Maplewood. It was 6 o'clock in the evening, the golden light of dusk casting long shadows on the cobblestones. I stood outside St. Andrew's, feeling the anticipation knotting in my stomach. It was finally time to confront Gregory. All those sleepless nights, every moment spent planning and rehearsing my lines, had led me to this point. My heart raced, pounding in my chest like a war drum. Clara, you can do this, I whispered to myself, gripping the hem of my sweater as if it could anchor me to reality. The crisp autumn air heightened my senses, bringing with it the smell of damp earth and fallen leaves. I took a deep breath, letting the chill wash over me, grounding me. I stared at the aged wooden door of the church, the grains of the wood telling stories of countless congregations, weddings, and perhaps heartbreaks. This is not just a church, it's a place of reckoning, I thought as I remembered the betrayal that had festered within its walls. I clenched my fists at my sides. I could not turn back now. I stepped forward, hearing the crunch of gravel beneath my shoes, and pushed the door open. The scent of polished wood and lingering incense hit me like a wave. Inside, the church was dimly lit by flickering candles lined along the altar. Dust hung in the air like tiny fairies at play, illuminated by rays of sunlight filtering through the stained glass windows. Each pane told biblical stories through vibrant colors, but none spoke of the injustice I had suffered. Shaking off my reverie, I scanned the pews. They were empty, the silence so profound I could hear my own breathing. My heart raced with each step I took toward the altar. Clara? The voice broke the silence like a stone thrown into a pond. I turned sharply to find Gregory standing by the altar, his hands shoved deep into the pockets of his suit. He appeared just as I remembered him, smooth, confident, with a hint of arrogance twinkling in his deep blue eyes. But now, those eyes clouded with confusion and concern. "What are you doing here?" "Don't play innocent with me, Gregory," I replied, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions roaring inside me. "You think I wouldn't find you? You have underestimated my determination." He frowned, shifting uncomfortably on his feet. "Clara, this is not the place for this. We can talk outside." "I don't want to talk outside," I fired back, the heat rising within me. "You think I spent the last year lying low just to have a calm conversation? No, I want you to listen." "You owe me that much." "Listen to what? More of your wild accusations." He shot back, folding his arms defensively. I took a step closer, feeling the unyielding wood of the altar at my back. "Accusations? Is that what you call it when someone steals your life, your future, and your dreams?" I clenched my jaw, forcing down the rush of memories, those late-night phone calls, the promises we made, the way he made me believe we were partners in life and love. "Is that what you call it when you throw it all away for someone else's whims?" He opened his mouth to protest, but I held up a hand. "No more excuses, Gregory. I deserve to know why you threw away everything we built for a fling with someone else." His eyes flickered, the confidence waning as I watched the realization settle on him. "It was a mistake, Clara. I was lost." "A mistake? You think that justifies everything? You threw me away." "I was nothing but a toy you grew tired of and tossed aside." "I never meant for it to hurt you," he insisted, the desperation in his voice mounting like storm clouds gathering in a darkened sky. "No, you just didn't think at all, did you?" I countered, fury bubbling to the surface like lava threatening to spill. "You never even considered how this would affect me." "Clara, please," he pleaded, stepping forward. "I was confused. I thought I could balance it all, but it spiraled out of control." "Spiraled out of control?" I echoed, incredulity dripping from my words. "You didn't just make a mistake, Gregory. You shattered the promise we made to each other. Do you understand that?" He opened his mouth again, but I pressed on, refusing to let him derail me. "You think I am here to beg for answers, to plead with you to reconcile? No, this is about reclaiming my air, the breath that you took from me." "I don't know what you want from me," he sighed, running a hand through his hair, clearly exasperated. "I want you to realize the consequences of your actions," I said, my voice softer now, but still strong. "You think you can just waltz back into my life after throwing it all away? You think I would ever trust you again?" He looked down, a hint of shame crossing his features. "I never wanted to hurt you." "It doesn't change it," I shouted, causing the few candles to flicker nervously. "You hurt me, Gregory. You took everything I believed in and tossed it into the flames. But I am here to tell you that I am rising from those ashes." His brow furrowed, frustration rising like a tide. "What does that even mean? Are you saying you are some phoenix now?" "As a matter of fact, yes," I said firmly, the weight of my words grounding me. "I have rebuilt myself. I am no longer the broken woman you left behind. I am stronger, wiser, and I will not allow your betrayal to define me." A whirlwind of emotions swirled in the air between us, but I could see something shift within him. The arrogance that had initially colored his demeanor began to fade, replaced with a hint of fear. "So, what? You are going to erase me from your life entirely? Just pretend I don't exist?" "I am not pretending anything. I have faced my pain head-on. I have taken control of my life again," I insisted, feeling the passion in my voice build as I spoke. "And I want you to know this. What you did may have broken me for a moment, but now I am standing here with my head held high, unafraid." The air in the church thickened, becoming charged with unspoken words. I could feel the tension, the unresolved feelings, curling around us like vines. "But this isn't just about you, Clara," Gregory finally said, his expression softening. "I made a choice, and it was the wrong one. I realize that now, but I can't take it back." "No, you can't," I replied, my tone steady. "But you can start to understand what losing me really means. You opened the door for this closure, Gregory. I just came to close it." "But can't we?" "Can we what?" I interrupted, my heart racing at the prospect of hearing more empty promises. "Can we go back to how things used to be? To living a lie? To pretending I do not know that you chose another?" He faltered, his bravado stripped away inch by inch. "That's not fair, Clara." I was trying to figure things out. And I was trying to be the woman you claimed to love. There was a heavy silence, filled only with the hushed whispers of the church as it seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. The flickering candle flames danced as if mirroring the chaos in my heart. I could see his blue eyes glisten with unshed tears. "I am sorry," he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. I know it means nothing now, but I am. Your apology comes too late, I replied, surprised at the calmness in my tone. Apologies mean nothing without action. You broke my trust, and trust is not easily mended. He looked around as if searching for words that would never come. Each breath he took seemed labored, as if the weight of his guilt was suffocating him. Please, Clara. No, you do not get to plead for sympathy. You cannot guilt-trip me into feeling sorry for you. I took a step back, needing distance from the palpable regret radiating from him. This is not about you, Gregory. It is about me taking my power back. I didn't mean for any of this to spiral out of control. He began again, desperation filling his voice. What? You thought I would simply stay quiet and suffer in your shadow? Those days are over, I asserted firmly. You can no longer take my light from me. He took a step forward, but I held my hand up to signal him to stop. I am done living in your storm. I have stepped into the sunlight whether you like it or not. His shoulders slumped as he realized I was standing my ground. And what about us? There is no us, Gregory, I replied, my words clear and unwavering. There hasn't been for a long time. The silence grew heavy once more, each tick of the clock echoing through the church like a countdown. I breathed deeply, slowly, feeling the finality of my words sink in. You wanted to know what I want, Gregory. I want you to remember this moment. Remember how you felt when you realized I wouldn't be there for you anymore. I want you to understand that your actions have consequences, and I am no longer a part of your narrative. Is that really it then? He asked, his voice laced with disbelief. All the confidence had fled from him, leaving behind just a fragile man facing the consequences of his choices. I think it is enough, I replied, surprising myself with the clarity of my decision. It is time for me to walk away. As I turned to leave, each step felt like the final click of a door closing. I could hear his breath quickening behind me, a desperate attempt to reach out. Clara, wait, please. I paused, every inch of me wanting to turn back, to allow some part of my heart to succumb to nostalgia. But I reminded myself of the girl I used to be, the one who found comfort in his empty promises. This is my final goodbye, Gregory, I said without turning around, my voice firm. I hope you will eventually find a way to forgive yourself, for I will not hold that burden for you. With that, I stepped through the door, leaving behind the scars of my past. The air outside felt different, fresher after the storm, as if a weight had lifted. I embraced the chill of the evening, taking it in with deep breaths that filled my lungs, fortifying me. It was time to move forward, to embrace every opportunity life had to offer, free of his shadow. I would rise from the ashes, not as a victim but as a survivor, ready to embrace my own story afresh.